So let me start here. I knew we'd get to the point where anti-intellectualism wasn't just tolerated but celebrated. And nothing proves it faster than when somebody once tried to drag me for talking about Flannery O'Connor's short story, A Good Man is Hard to Find. They asked me, why are you always talking about romance books? Now, if you've read it, you know there's nothing romantic about the story. It's about a Southern family being murdered. It's about racism. It's about hypocrisy, but romance, no. Unless you consider romance the kind where you have to deal with death and moral decay. So today I want to do two things. First, I wanted to walk you through the story like we're in class together, and then pivot to what it says about our world right now, because O'Connor's warnings are screaming at us as we speak. Now, we know Flannery O'Connor was the Southern Gothic queen. In 1953, she published A Good Man is Hard to Find in her debut collection. O'Connor was Catholic. She wrote about sin and redemption, but also about the South's obsession with fake morality. Who does that sound like? Now, the plot is simple. A grandmother, her son Bailey, his wife, and their kids, and the family cat Pitty head out on a road trip. They argue, they take a detour, they cross paths, and they end up crossing paths with an escaped convict known as the Misfit. Now, by the end of the story, every single family member is dead, murdered, shot down one by one in the woods. The grandmother begs for her life. She tries to appeal to religion from the Misfit, respectability, anything she thinks will carry weight. In the Misfit, he sees right through her. He even says that she would have been a good woman if it had been somebody there to shoot her every minute of her life. Now, what's the kicker here is that the grandmother even warned them before they left that it's a possibility that something might happen to them because the Misfit was on the loose in the first place. Just as a caveat, they were driving from, is it Georgia to Florida or Florida to Georgia? But either way, grandmother actually wanted to go to Tennessee, but the son told her, nah, we're going to go this place instead. So she even kind of, I'm not going to say had an intuitive nature, but she knew something, or she thought something bad would happen if they take this trip. Coupled with, and I'll get into it later, her and the diner owner kind of reminiscing on the good old days of the South. This story is just chock full with religious piety that I think we are seeing a lot today in the atmosphere. Now, for those of you that have read O'Connor, this is classic for her. Grotesque, violent, but moral in a strange way. She used violence to break through hypocrisy. The grandmother is the symbol of fake Southern gentility. She talks about being a lady, about respect, and about the good old days, while casually being racist and self-centered. The Misfit, ironically, is a truth teller. He's violent, yes, but he doesn't hide who he is, and he forces the grandmother to confront what morality looks like without the mask. Now, racism is baked into the grandmother's worldview. She casually stereotypes. She reduces black people to props in her story of the good South. O'Connor is exposing how deep racism ran even in supposedly respectable people. And O'Connor's whole point is this: goodness isn't about appearances. It's not about manners. It's not about calling yourself Christian while practicing cruelty. True goodness shows up under pressure, and when you fail, it is exposed. I wish I could repeat that line again. The people who need to hear this won't. But why does it matter? Because the story isn't just about one unlucky road trip. It is a warning that when society's morality is shallow, when empathy is gone, when respectability politics replaces actual care, all it takes is for one crisis for the truth to come out. And usually it is the ugly truth. And you see a lot of that happening now as we speak with the political landscape. So let's fast forward to now, because if O'Connor could see the headlines, she'd nod and say, I told y'all so. And I'm sure she'd create an awesome story about this, because it's not the South just the South she was critiquing. It was the spirit that never left. It's people who tweet the same stuff that they do now. Look where we are. Divisive politicians openly dog whistling racism. People defending fat phobia like it's a noble cause. You have courses online teaching people how to steal from the poor. Yes, I'm talking about you. Activist group chats scheming to shame anyone who doesn't toe the party line. And yes, I'm talking about you too. Doesn't that sound like the grandmother clinging to fake morality while ignoring the actual suffering around her? And doesn't that sound like the misfit as well? People are so consumed by cruelty that they don't even pretend anymore, that they tell you to your face they don't care if others suffer. Violence and callousness have become our entertainment. We're back in the gladiator ring again. We have anti-intellectualism and short attention spans all contributing to this. O'Connor critiqued shallow religion. Today it's shallow thinking across the board. People brag about not reading. Book bans are back. History is being rewritten to make racists feel comfortable, and empathy has been completely tossed out of the window. We're living in a world where a 7-second clip has replaced a 7-page essay. And the result is that people don't have the patience to actually wrestle with thought process ideas. They want dopamine, not depth, which is why a lot of the books that people love on Book Talk are also popular. There's no more critical thinking. And remember the movie Idiocracy? O'Connor's short story is basically the prequel. She was showing us how a society collapses into stupidity and cruelty when nobody wants to think deeply, when morality becomes costume jewelry. Idiocracy really just swapped the Bible for energy drinks. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Mountain Dew specifically. So here's my final thoughts on this. The story is about what happens when people refuse to face themselves honestly. It's about how racism, hypocrisy, and intellectual laziness rot a society from the inside. And today we are living that warning. You have divisive leaders who profit off of people's ignorance, social media that rewards cruelty over empathy, and the rest of us, we're just watching the misfits take over. If you don't want that kind of ending in your life, if you don't want to be the grandmother begging in the woods, then start here. Read, learn, have empathy, push back against shallow morality, because if O'Connor was right, then we don't have forever. That's that. But either way, thanks for sticking with me through this deep dive. If you found it helpful, drop a comment with your thoughts on the story or just anything in general. Or better yet, tell me what books you're reading that feel like warnings for today. Let's talk about some others, not the usual. And until next time, keep thinking, keep reading, and for God's sake, don't let the misfits win.